Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Alcoholics Unanimous. I am Josh. I'm an alcoholic and drug addict. It's been a long time coming, but finally back on the mic and in front of the camera. I think it's been 2 years since the last episode, which is a long time. A lot has been going on. I don't even remember what I was talking about on my last episode. I think it was codependence, or it was actually codependence I was talking about, which is still a thing for me. But this is the first episode in a while, so I'm going to be rusty. Please forgive me. Don't judge me too harshly on my abilities of podcasting here. Got this new setup in a new location. I actually moved since the last time you have all seen me. Still in Long Beach, so holla at me if you're around. You talk. Maybe I'll see you at a meeting. But I thought it would be a good idea to start this podcast up again for my own sake. Try to get these things that I want to talk about out so that they stop rattling around in my head, which, as we all know, is a big factor for kind of how we feel and how we act on an everyday basis. For me, it's always a good idea to just talk and let stuff out and not let it fester. And I never really listen to these after I record them. I just kind of edit them, make sure that they sound good, and then send them on their way. But I'll probably go back through these and at least listen a little bit to kind of what I'm talking about and how I sound. So anyways, what's been up with me? Well, let's see. The last 2 years, a lot has happened. Got new jobs, kind of found new callings, and then all the while still struggled with my addiction. More recently, I'm over 1,000 days from my last drink, and about 3 weeks from my last marijuana puff. Which actually kind of, brought me back to my rehab center. I was going through day treatment for the last couple of weeks. I'm in what we call phase 1 now of my recovery, which is not an everyday thing. It's something that I could do a few times a week, kind of get back into the swing of life and make sure that I'm taking everything as serious as I can. So I guess in the last couple of years, I really was kind of just dry drunken, being a dry drunk as it were. And what does that mean for the uninitiated? Well, not drinking, but surely not sober. In the case of myself, I was had a little stint with Adderall. That was fun. Really can't believe that it's something that gets prescribed to people. Because man, I guess maybe I didn't have the right diagnosis to need it. But I mean, geez, I was going on like 2-3 day benders on that stuff. Definitely opens up another avenue for you, as far as like your tenacity to get something done. Excuse me, especially creatively. It kind of forces you to finish your goal, which is cool. But I don't think the lack of sleep was doing me any favors. So cut that out pretty quickly. I think I was like a month into dabbling around with that before I realized like, oh, this is an issue. So got rid of it. And then I was just kind of smoking weed for that whole time in between, and taking breaks here and there. Wasn't letting it get too crazy for myself. I was trying to keep a rein on it as best as I can, but this disease takes over, makes you not you. So eventually I was just smoking all day, every day, and not really wanting to feel sober and clean, which I do now. It's a different feel I have now that I'm actually clean. Got the drugs out of my system. My sleep has been pretty wild, having some vivid dreams, and I keep waking up sweaty as all hell, which sucks because it's like, dude, I had to there's like a spot on my bed. It's like wet. It's gross. I have to wash my sheets all the time. But at least I'm sober. So yeah, that's been going on. But let me break down what kind of got me to that spot of why I felt like I needed to go back into treatment. For one, I couldn't really stop, or I tell myself, this is the last one. Okay, well, an hour later, I'm sparking up again. Or not going to buy anything today, and found myself make an excuse to head out to the store, and while I'm out, might as well go. Might as well. I mean, what am I going to do? Just go home and be sober? Nah. So that was kind of my MO for a little bit. And I think things were okay, but it's kind of the job I was working. If we work in remote, which is a blessing, I'm able to do a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to do if I was, in the office. But the thing that was kind of destroying me was, that isolation. I have roommates, but they're at work, actually go into work. So while I was here, it's just kind of me by myself, and it's not necessarily good for me at the current moment, or at that time, I guess. So yeah, I was just kind of losing it, I guess. My psyche was in all kinds of different places, shattered, broken, whatever you want to call it. It was not intact. It was not healthy. So that was something that that was really affecting me in all kinds of different ways. One being my, this kind of paralysis by analysis, overthinking, not really sure what I wanted, unable to kind of make a move without being high, or go somewhere without being high, or doing something, making any sort of decision, whatever it was, man. I was just had to get high. So that was not great. But I think the thing that kind of besides the isolation, besides the broken psyche, the thing that I just wasn't able to do, I wasn't able to be creative, which is what I like to do. And by being creative, I mean I like to write, whether it be poems, short stories, little journal excerpts. I wasn't doing it. I'd just get high, play video games, go to bed, wake up, go to work, and repeat the cycle, really. So all of that kind of was breaking me. And through through this recovery, I've figured out some kind of underlying issues. Of course, it's not just, for me, it's not just the drugs that's the problem. For me, a lot of the times, drug use and alcohol use, it's a symptom of something else I got going on, as it normally, I think, is for, for people. So, I started realizing, and with the help of my counselor, kind of realizing that some of my issues were, from back in the day, as a child. Things that I'd kind of come to accept as, this is the way things are. I just starting to realize now that what I think about certain things is kind of just one perspective, right? It's not anything that's set in stone. Why the way your brain is kind of programmed to think. There's a lot of underlying or not issues, but there's a lot of underlying factors that lead into that, of like what is. Geez, I don't even know where I'm going with this. Bear with me. But I guess these underlying factors are like, why is my thinking the way it is? Well, it's because at some point along the way, something happened where it became ingrained into my younger self that, hey, this is the way things are. This is kind of what to expect. This is just how it goes. And that's not always the case. I think what I'm realizing now is that there's a lot more control over my emotions to be had than I was giving myself credit for, because I kind of was, putting these things up on a spot that's like, it's putting it almost, it had power over me when it really shouldn't have. And I guess what I mean by that is, my way of thinking, how I kind of just trap myself into, the way this is the way things are. That became, I guess that became the leading factor to why I was stuck in my ways. So anyways, my counselor had pointed out, this weird imposter syndrome I'm feeling of, I'm just a scam or something like that, or, I'm not who I think I am. I'm going to fail, like these constant, like feelings of I'm not doing the right thing. A lot of that has kind of pointed back to things in my childhood that that affected me in certain ways. And, it could have been family issues, or stuff from maybe a teacher, stuff from other kids, whatever it was. But, things just kind of get locked into your brain in a certain way. And your brain just kind of runs with those. For me, that was kind of the hardest thing to realize, was like how much, how much accessibility there actually is in my thinking. If I'm able to recognize kind of where a certain line of thinking comes from, you could point back to what am I trying to say? You point back to something in my younger life that my brain just accepted as that's the way it is. Maybe that's the way it was for that situation, but and maybe that's what I had to tell myself to get through that moment. But that's not something that is, necessarily true, or it's not really the way that it is. And most of the times these are like defense mechanisms. Something traumatic happens to you, or even just major embarrassment or something, and you kind of, in your head, you're, okay, cool, well, I can get through this, putting up this defense. And, at the time that was probably the right thing that you had to do. But for some reason that stuck into your brain as This is how you get through these situations, and this is how you kind of deal with that. And that is not the case. It is it's interesting because, like, I heard somebody say in one of these meetings that I'm going to that you should be gentle with yourself on when you have these kind of built-in defenses, because at the time when you didn't know any better, that was how you had to survive. That was how you had to get through that situation. That's what you had to do. You should almost be proud of yourself that you figured out a way to get through something that was not really in your favor, or something that was bringing you down or traumatic or whatever. You know, you're able to get through those moments by building up these defenses, and that made things a little easier to handle for myself, where I could just see, oh, okay, well, that was just a ignorant response in a way, because I didn't know any better. But at the same time, you know, in the looking towards the future, that aspect is not helpful for, you know, it's not conducive to a healthy adult living. And so in these classes I'm going to, it's our meetings, I guess, or the ACA meetings. So it stands for Adult Children of Alcoholics. A little bit of a misnomer if you haven't been to these before, because it also deals with other dysfunctions. Like, my parents are not drinkers or drug users in any way. I've maybe seen my dad drink twice. One was a Foster's beer, and then one I remember he had a Mike's Hard Limeade, and he was laughing after that one. So it was pretty funny, but yeah, they never really drank. But obviously there was, you know, some other issues that had come up from my childhood that were affecting me, and that kind of took over my way of thinking. And so I'm kind of, you know, going into these meetings with really open mind of, you know, hey, not everything that I'm thinking is wrong, but maybe there's a lot that is wrong. And when I say wrong, I mean just not healthy or productive for myself. Anyways, with these ACA meetings, it was pretty eye-opening, almost like right away. And it's a weird group because you never really hear people talk like this openly with this kind of platform. You never really hear others kind of speak in this way. So it was really interesting to hear how people approach things. I had a moment today because my boss came at me a certain way, and it reminded me of how, I had a teacher, or, some way my dad came at me, reminded me of that. It kind of took me back to that place. And so made me feel a certain way. But then talking through it, you kind of realize, okay, well, that's exactly what it was. It's just something that reminded you of something in your past that you didn't like necessarily. So, when those things come up, the better you are at, kind of training yourself of, all right, well, I'm used to how my brain just operates that way. And normally something like that might make me triggered enough to use, or say fuck it, or just go in and stop caring. Excuse me. So anyways, been going to these meetings, and just it's really cool hearing people open up like that about these issues, because it's always nice to know that you're not necessarily alone. Right? Like that's what this whole really podcast is about. What all these support groups that we go to, that's what they're all about as well. Is just, kind of group of people talking to each other. If you were to talk to a normie about certain things that you deal with as an addict, or certain family issues as an adult child, like you might come off real crazy to that person if they're not really initiated or kind of know about this world. Although, man, the stigma is definitely going away in a lot of areas. A lot of people I talk to know somebody or are themselves an addict. And so, anyways, that's what I've been working on in the last couple of weeks. I know I'm really struggling right now. So if you're still listening at this point, send me a DM and I'll Venmo you $5. But anyways, I think I've found a lot more strength in myself, and I'm able to kind of almost not laugh at those things and at my at the kind of way my brain you find out the way your brain is working. It's almost beautiful that your subconscious is kind of doing these things that you don't have any idea what's happening, because it's just trying to protect you, and it doesn't want you to feel bad. So it's like, avoid these things, but your subconscious doesn't know that this other person is not that first person that affected you so negatively. But your conscious self does, if you pay attention and if you recognize and if you're able to be gentle with yourself and not judge yourself so much and come off as, as long as you don't come off as kind of a, I don't know, as an enemy to your own psyche. Because that's kind of, I guess, where it was coming down for me was, why are things the way they are? I'm like, it's just craziness that I'm feeling. Am I just crazy? No. Well, yes, but no. It's just because things are written in a way that's not helpful or conducive to a healthy lifestyle, these days. So I've really been zeroing in on that, looking back at myself, the things I've been through, what those things taught me. I had a really good conversation with one of my best friends yesterday, and he was kind of like, he was a little bit bugging out about certain issues that he's going through, and for him, a big component of his internal struggle is like understanding the why. Behind things. Why did somebody do this? Why did somebody do that? And I think it's a good place to look for answers. But I think the thing with that is you're never going to necessarily understand the why every single time. And even if you understand somebody else's why, it might not make sense to you. So when it comes to that question of why did this happen or why did that happen, I don't think it's as important as what happened, what was the cause, and what was the effect, and what is it doing to me now? Because if you have those three kind of factors in there, it's the why isn't necessary. I think the why behind why anybody does anything kind of nebulous. You can't really pinpoint it, even if you were to hold somebody down at gunpoint and be like, why? Are they going to give you the answer? Are they going to remember? Was that as an important, thing to them as it was to you? Most likely not. So, for me, the why is not as important to me. It's more of the what, right? Like I said, what happened? What was the cause, right? And then what was the effect? What has that done to me now? And I think those three things I can kind of look at for myself, and I can kind of feel okay with the things that I'm maybe doing now, or the lifestyle been living, or what choices I've made, and what the cause and effect of all that. It just becomes a lot less existential. It's not like this black cloud that is spilling things out at me and then returning to the black cloud. Like, what the hell was that? It's more of like I could trace these things back. The cloud is a little more transparent. Maybe I've allowed it to rain a little bit, so the skies have cleared, which is part of, I guess, my grieving process of this inner child that is just trying to survive. Right? I'm safe. I'm in a good place. I don't need to rely on that young kid to move me forward anymore. I'm gonna give him a pat on the back. I'm gonna tell him, hey, bro, it's time to check it in. You did good for me. You got me here, but now it's time for adult me to take over. And what does that mean? It's somebody that can look back at that child and forgive themselves for thinking a certain way or acting a certain way, when in those moments all you were really doing was just protecting yourself, trying to survive, not trying to repeat your own cycles. But inevitably you end up repeating those same things kind of over and over again if you don't look back and understand what is the reason that I'm doing this. So that's kind of where I've been looking at. Anyways. Yeah. So this was, I guess, the first episode of season 2 of Alcoholics Unanimous. I'm going to end it a little bit early on this one. Like I said, man, this was just let's get back in the swing of things. Planning on doing an episode a week. Hopefully, shoot for a little bit longer. I want to go at least 45 minutes, per episode, extend it out to an hour if I need. Get some interviews and stuff going to kind of spice it up. This won't be my permanent set. So if things change, just go with it. It'll still be me here. So I guess, I look forward to seeing you guys again. Let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking, how you guys are feeling about everything. If there's any topics you guys want me to talk about or go into, please send them my way. I'd love to do some research and probably be a little better prepared next time with some actual subjects and whatnot, and some materials in that regard. So with that being said, thank you all for joining me for this first episode here, and we'll see you back next week. Later.